Oops. All right, let me get this ready. Copy here. Send this in the Gently Led Sisters group just because we had a different start time. Sorry, since I changed it to 3, it does seem to work better as far as more live listeners. But a lot of times on Mondays, I have to, sorry, you're looking at something. A lot of times I have to arrange my schedule a little bit to kind of work around it with life and all that comes with having 8 children. I'm sure you understand. So, yeah. Okay, I think that's shared in there. All right, here we go. I don't know if it's even. Hey, Julia. So Julia got the notification that I was live. And now that I shared it in the group, hopefully more we'll see. I don't have my phone with me right now because Lana has it. It is Lana's 9th birthday tomorrow. So for part of her birthday gift, she wanted to go up and see her big brother, who is in college, just an hour and a half away, which is nice that he's so close. And she wanted to go up there and visit him and go out to lunch with him, just her. So she got all the attention. And we try to do one-on-one time, especially with our kids around their birthdays. It makes it special for them. So, okay, Julia, did you get the notification that it was live? Oops, there it is. Pause that. Okay. Kind of wanted to wait just a minute until more joined. So let's give it just a minute. Happy birthday to all the ones who are having birthdays today, tomorrow. I feel like March is a busy month for birthdays. So, okay, you did get it. Okay, good. Yep. All right. The numbers are going up already. So that's good. All right. So let's get into this topic. Today I was supposed to have my guest Catherine on, but she messaged me last night and said, I'm so sorry, we had postponed. We all have the stomach flu. So I know exactly what that's like. We just went through it a couple weeks ago. The entire family got it. Mine were pretty much primarily all at the same time, with maybe over the span of a week, all of us had gotten it. The only one who was left standing at the end of the week was my husband. He is the only one who did not get it. Everyone else got it. Even my son, who was at college, got it. So yeah, that can be a nasty bug. I understand that. So hopefully next week I will get her scheduled in. She is about 35 or 36 weeks pregnant. So I want to get her in before she has the baby, hopefully. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't. But I'm hoping to squeeze her in next Monday. So hi, Deidre. But I was just kind of thinking about this subject after I had seen something on social media. That's what spurs a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my topics is different reels I see or different things I see throughout the week. And so I was just kind of thinking, it was actually a reel I had shared, and I am not particularly a fan of Jordan Peterson, but I do like some of the stuff he says regarding marriage and the family. And he was talking about how he doesn't feel like anyone has really fully grown up until they have a child. And I sort of agree with that because I've seen it even with, throughout the years. I do feel like when you do have a child, whether that's through adoption, whether that's through biological, whether that's even through fostering, sometimes people don't really know what to expect because you've never done it. And when you have someone else whose needs you are putting above your own, it just has a way of really making you grow up and maturing you. So that particular clip I did agree with, and I thought it was very true. But it just kind of got me thinking on this subject of how having children has changed and shaped me. I was asked the other day if I had always wanted to have a big family, if I had always wanted to have a lot of children. And yes, I did. From the time I loved babysitting. And I just, I was the oldest of 5. So we were kind of a relatively big family. And I had always said I wanted lots of kids when we got married. So that was always a desire of mine. And now, was it exactly like I thought. Absolutely not. It was so much harder, but it was so much more fulfilling than I ever dreamt of. So I kind of wanted to go over today just some of these ways that, having children has changed and shaped me. And ladies, if it has done the same for you, definitely put comments in the chats, put your own experiences. I want to hear yours as well. So we live in a world where having children, or rather having more than 3 children, is looked down upon. Children are thought of as bothers, not blessings. Being a stay-at-home mom is looked at as being a lesser vocation when it is, in all actuality, the greatest vocation, especially when you build your life on the Word of God. However, having children does come with a price. When I got married, I knew that when I had my first child, I would do everything in me to raise that child for God. This was not something I could be lazy with. I had to put all of my effort into it. And so I have, or I have tried to. I want to go over today how having children has grown, changed, and shaped me. The good, the bad, and the ugly of motherhood. So let's talk about the subject. Now, the first one I'm going to focus on is just body. Body images, definitely some things that come along with having children. You do sacrifice a lot. You sacrifice a lot when it comes to your body. You sacrifice a lot when it comes to just the physical well-being, that you have. So I forgot to get this pulled up, but I wanted to read one of the blog posts that I had done basically about giving them up. I wouldn't even call it, maybe so much now, maybe a better word would have been exchanging it for. But, even that, we do give up some things when we decide to become moms. And I do believe that this element of selfishness and having a selfish culture is why there are so many abortions, because we do give up, part of our physical attractiveness. In some ways, there are ways of, just staying fit and staying healthy and exercising and all those things. There are ways to keep that in check, but we do give up. We get stretch marks and we get all these other things that happen with it. But I am going to right now pull up that one article that I wrote. Here it is, what I have lost and gained being a mother. And I thought this went along really, really well with the topic that we were going to be talking about today. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this to kind of springboard into what I was talking about. So it's called What I Have Lost and Gained Being a Mother. And I wrote it May 8th, 2022. So almost 3 years ago. And I said, last night I was looking in the mirror at myself. Being pregnant with baby number 8, my stomach muscles have been stretched to the max with previous pregnancies. Even though I am only going on 11 weeks, my belly has already popped out. Soon people will start asking me when I am due, and is this your first? I always love the look on their face when I tell them exactly what number I am on. As I went to bed, exhausted and nauseous, I lay there thinking over the years of my motherhood. I became a mom at the young age of 20. At 20 years old, I wasn't even secure in the person that I was yet. I was still learning things about myself and also navigating the early months and the first years of marriage. I was young and unseasoned. I thought back over my young years of being a mom with a twinge of regret. I was so immature and I had so much to learn. I started thinking of my years of motherhood and all that I have learned and am still learning along this journey. My mind started going over all the things that changed when I became a mom. I gave up my body to become a mom. I gave up a trim, athletic figure for stretched out stomach muscles and stretch marks. I gave up being able to eat whatever I wanted in exchange for no over-the-counter medications and only healthy food as my body nourished a growing baby or nursling. I gave up feeling wonderful all the time to feeling exhausted and nauseous as my body grew another human being. I gave up sleep. I can't remember the last time I slept the entire night through. And 3 years later, I still can count on my hands the number of times I've slept the whole night through. I can't count the number of nights that I've stayed up with sick babies and children, tending to their fevers, lukewarm baths at 3 a.m., trying to get a raging fever under control, restless nights getting covered in puke and tears. This was me 3 weeks ago. Long nights of prayers and alternating different treatments. Relief when a 104 fever finally became manageable. I gave up my freedom. Nursing babies are worn or stay with me for the entire first year of their life. Even when I do leave them for the first time, it's not without worry. Will they be okay their first night without mama? Will they cry for me? Will grandma or sister be able to handle them? I am never free from the worry when I am separated from them. I can't do anything without thinking of how it will affect my children. They are first and foremost in my thoughts and heart. Because of this, my life is never truly my own. My life exists and revolves around these blessings that the Lord has given me. I gave up my peace and tranquility. Now, don't get me wrong, I have moments of peace in my home, but with homeschooling all day and lots of kids in a small space, it's pretty chaotic. Anyone who has been over and witnessed a day in the life of our house knows it's not peace and quiet. It's noise and activity and organized chaos, sometimes not so organized chaos. I gave up the sense of having my life in perfect control. I have a type A personality. When I was younger and I imagined having kids, I had a plan that would produce the best kids, the most well-behaved kids, the perfect kids. After a couple of years, I realized that I was not in total control of my life, and there were always variables that would upset my perfectly coiffed plans. It was God's way of teaching me that I am not in control of every little thing. I learned to let go of the over-the-top expectations and to roll with the punches. Even now, right when I think I have this parenting thing under control and all figured out, another situation pops up and I am forced to put aside my expectations and plans and to call on the Lord for help and wisdom once again. I gave up so much to become a mom. But then my mind started going through all of the things I've gained since becoming a mom. I gained a love that I never knew existed. I have never in my life had such a depth of love for another human being. From the first time I saw the 2 pink lines, to the first time I felt a kick, to the first time that I saw my precious baby's face, the love was so deep and so strong that sometimes it takes my breath away. I would fight for my babies. I would die for my babies. I would give up everything for my babies. I gained an appreciation for the women who have gone on before me in motherhood. Never have I done anything so hard or so important as raising another human being. All mothers everywhere need to be appreciated and bragged on and held in high esteem. I gained a joy that I never knew existed. The joy in seeing my kids grow and flourish, the joy in their achievements, the joy in seeing them accomplish a task and start becoming more independent, the joy when I saw them making good decisions, the joy when I see the type of adults they're becoming. I gained a sense of accomplishment that no secular job or position has ever given me. Having children fulfilled something deep within me, something that only God puts in a woman. It's a natural desire, a desire to have a child with the man you love and to raise that child for the Lord. I have accomplished many things in my life and have gotten awards and accolades, but nothing has topped being a mother. I gained the knowledge that all life is precious, no matter how small. I realized that I was not in control of everything going perfectly in a pregnancy. I've been through 2 difficult losses, and since then, it has just reinforced the belief that life is precious and beautiful. I don't take pregnancy for granted anymore. I relish the fatigue and the nausea. I rejoice at all the symptoms that indicate a healthy pregnancy. I gain the understanding and wisdom that comes only from raising children. I know how to give advice to young moms because I've walked the road before them. I've had little ones and sleepless nights and complete and utter exhaustion. I've navigated new waters and made decisions and trained babies to adulthood. There's nothing like knowing that an innocent, helpless baby depends on you for absolutely everything. Nothing brings maturity and wisdom faster than having another human being so completely dependent on you. I gained a new appreciation for the love that God has for us. He sent his son to be the payment for our sins. I can't imagine a greater love than that. My love runs so deep for my kids that I can't imagine ever giving up one of them for someone else. My heart rebels at the very thought. To think that God did that for me, it is humbling at the very least. I gained the love from 7 people, 8 people now. I will always be their mom, and they know they can rest secure in my love for them. They love me for all my faults and my shortcomings. I gained their kisses and their hugs and their affection. I gained dandelions on gloomy days and wildflowers when I needed to pick me up. I gained squeals of laughter ringing through my home and the comfort from knowing I will never be lonely. I gained laughter, joy, memories, fulfillment, peace, and satisfaction, all from being a mother. Motherhood has taught me so much. I've given up much, but I've gained so much more. I don't regret 1 minute since I've become a mom. I wasn't prepared, but God in His grace has helped me along the way. This is my calling. It is who I was supposed to be. It is my everything, and I thank God every day that He has made me a mom. And then I said, Happy Mother's Day. This must have been written around Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of you wonderful moms out there. May you embrace your calling and ponder on all you have gained through this journey. Being a mom is the best, and nothing else in life compares to this wonderful, breathtaking, miraculous journey. And I think that pretty much sums up what we're going to be talking about in the show. We could probably just stop it there. And yes. Yep, bronzer, Deidre. There, I got some new bronzer from Mary Kay, actually. That's the shine that you see right there. Yep. I'm looking forward to getting even more dark in the summer days, hopefully. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Kaylin. Okay. So yes, that pretty much sums what I'm going to be talking about. And so number 1, how children has shaped the way that I view myself, my body image, etc. You know, it does definitely change you physically. I would say that this is probably one of the only like bads when it comes to having kids, like one of the bad things, if you want to call it that. And just because I have had some physical side effects from having kids, you know, I was telling my chiropractor once when I was growing up. Now, I was into sports. I loved volleyball. I was on volleyball teams, basketball teams. I was very athletic growing up. And I did play a lot of sports, never had an issue. I got shin splints when I was playing basketball. That was about the extent of it. But I never once had a tinge of pain in my back until I had Allison 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago. And Allison was my first posterior baby. And excuse me, I'm going to spit my gum out. And Allison did a number on me. And many of you have heard my story. It was a very long, hard labor, and I pushed for a very long time. And we did eventually get her out, but it was tough. And she gave me 2 herniated discs in my back. Since then, I've dealt with degenerative disc disease and herniated discs. That going to the chiropractor once every 2 weeks keeps it under control, but on a daily basis, I deal with pain every day. I wake up in pain every day, and it's just something that I've learned to deal with. Some days are worse than others. Some days I am incapacitated. I can't move. So I have had back issues, but you know what? Would I go back and exchange Allie or any of the kids after her to wake up pain-free? No, I wouldn't. That's just, you know, I would gladly give up my back to have any one of my kids. So a lot of times as moms, we will deal with prolapse. And this is one issue, especially if you are having kids very, very close together, back to back to back. You will have to be diligent about this. Now, there are therapy things that you can do to help. There are even some type of estrogen creams that can help. I've never gone that route. I was actually prescribed some, but because I had such a hard nursing journey with Hannah, it's still sitting in my cupboard and I've never actually taken it. If you don't know something about me, I've talked about it a lot on this show. A lot of times I'll be prescribed something from the doctor. I will go to the doctor with a problem. And once I get the prescription, when I go home and I research it, I decide the risk is not worth it. And I would rather just deal with some of the pain that comes with things. So that's kind of the situation with this. It is an estrogen cream. And I researched it and I didn't feel it was bad enough that I wanted to risk interfering with my established nursing journey. We had just gotten it down by 6 weeks when I was prescribed. So I've never used it, and I don't really have that many problems when it comes to that. But as women, I would encourage you to get checked out by your midwife. See if there's there are exercises you can do, there's physical therapy you can do, and that definitely would help. Stay on top of that though, because it can lead to uterine prolapse and things like this. Uterine prolapse is also another reason that I encourage moms to take it easy after having a baby. I don't agree in this having a baby on Saturday, showing up for church on Sunday. That's foolish. I think you need to stay in bed at least a week after having a baby, or your recliner after having a baby. If you push things too hard, you are at risk for uterine prolapse, where your uterus will actually fall out, and no one wants that to happen. So I encourage moms that have babies to take it easy, at least for the first 6 weeks. Take it easy. Another thing that we give up is, stretch marks in our stomach. A lot of times we get this. Now, I've found that stretch marks are pretty much hereditary or in genetics. So if you are one of the lucky ones, my mom actually never got one. She likes to brag about that to this day. She had 5 kids and she never got a stretch mark on her stomach. I was not as lucky, but I still have nothing to complain about. Would I rather have that baby, or would I rather have that stretch mark? Obviously, I would rather have the baby. So this very selfish, entitled culture, though, is one that is leading moms to abandoning pregnancy and not wanting to give up their bodies, and not wanting to go through all of these physical side effects. So it definitely, having kids changed how harsh I was on myself when it came to this issue. It forced me, first of all, to take better care of myself, to not be so indulgent. I had to really think about how I was nourishing my body and the foods that I was feeding it. It couldn't be McDonald's every day. It couldn't be soda all the time. Especially with my last 2 pregnancies, when I had gestational diabetes, I had to really take control of it and do a good job at eating healthy. Trim Healthy Mama pretty much followed right in the good eating habits. So I did that with my last 2 pregnancies. So, hey, Melissa, glad you made it. It definitely, when it came to my body and the differences that I went through, and then even just my routine, as a teenager, how many of us spent like hours in front of the mirror? Oh, my hair isn't turning out. Oh, this is awful. I look awful. Hours and hours. Well, you can't do that after having kids. So it definitely taught me to streamline my body care and skincare routine. I have it down to now. Sometimes when this is a little confession to all my piano students that might be watching. When I start at 9:00, I have a bad habit of wanting to get up, take it slow, drink my coffee, and I'll time it down to pretty much the last minute of getting ready. But I can get ready, makeup, hair, everything in about 15 minutes. So that is how much, hi Esther, that is how much I have streamlined it. And as a mom, you have to find ways. When I only wash and blow dry my hair twice a week, and when I do, it's always in the evening after the babies are in bed. So I will blow dry it. That takes the majority of the time. Big long shower, blow drying your hair. But then in the next morning, I have it very, very streamlined to where, so sometimes if I'm starting my lessons at 9, I will start getting ready at 8:37 and I'm always on time. So I have it down to a science. But you have to, when you've got all these things going on, you're on a schedule, you're on a routine, and if you have a side thing or you have to be at church at a certain time, I've really learned to streamline it. It changed how I looked or viewed other moms and their body issues even. I understood that physical problems happen. I also realized the struggle of baby weight. You don't really know until you go through it and you realize, wow, it's really hard to lose that last 15, 20 pounds. It makes you a lot more compassionate of other moms and so on and so forth. Excuse me. So, I would say with the body image stuff, it just really, I still work out. I'm not going to say I don't. I try to take care of myself. I try to eat reasonably well. I try to get my water in, all those things. In fact, last week, I worked out. I met my goals 6 days out of the 7. So most of the time I work out 5 days a week. That's just the elliptical or walking, something like that. That's kind of something my husband and I do now. That's our like little hour a day time that we spend with each other, just kind of a hobby we do together. We'll go and do that together. But it made me a lot, what is the word, less vain. As teenagers, as young adults, we as women have it shoved down our throats, this whole thing with looks. And we tend to focus a lot on that. We tend to focus a lot on our appearance. Well, when you have kids, that kind of goes on the back burner. I'm not saying let yourself go, don't try to eat healthy, never work out, but we now have all our focus on this other little person. And suddenly we're not so obsessed with being skinny or having the latest hairstyle or having the latest makeup style or whatever it may be. So I feel like it really helps a lot of women just focus on something other than their attractiveness. And I found, at least in my marriage, when you have a child together, the level of attractiveness just goes up because your husband sees what you go through and he falls in love with you more, after each baby, when he sees what you go through to have those babies and he sees how much it takes out of you. And most husbands love and appreciate their wives even more. So how did it shape me as a person, though? It has definitely shaped me as a person. Having children matured me. And I agree that there's just something where I don't think that you're fully grown up or fully matured until you take care of someone around the clock 24/7. Because before that, it's all about you. You're in your own little world. It's what you want. It's your needs being met. It's doing whatever you want in your own timetable. It's putting your health ahead of anyone else, putting your desires ahead of anyone else, putting your wants ahead of anyone else. Then you get married. Your focus then shifts to your husband. But then as you continue adding on children, you have less and less time to feel sorry for yourself, less and less time to focus on your own needs. And I'm not saying don't ever focus on your own needs, but you are putting all these people ahead of you. And any good mom does. And I know the ones that watch my show, that's their desire. So I'm mainly speaking to you, and you guys all know what I'm talking about, because you can't be selfish and be a good mom, quote unquote. Oh, thank you, Esther. You're so sweet. Esther is the sister of the boy that my daughter's talking to. So she's sweet. She's a sweetheart. But yeah, you can't be selfish and be a good mom, quote unquote. Your world and my world, it's not just about us anymore. It involves all of these other people. And being a mom has stretched me in ways I can't explain. And I think most of you would agree with me and that being a mom has definitely stretched me. I had no idea. I had no idea when I signed up to be a mom that, that everything was going to be the way it was. It was harder than I thought, but it was better than I thought too, when it came to the depth of love that I would have for this tiny little person that was totally dependent on me. It was different. And you all know what I'm talking about. Being a mom showed me my weaknesses for sure. I didn't think I had any problems. And I've talked about this before. Sarah and I have talked about this before. I was never an impatient person until I had kids. Until I had to teach my first child how to read. And you have to sit there for hours saying, ah, t, ah, t. Now you say it. And then this is the kid. Ah, t, ah, t. Okay, now put it together. What does it say? Ah, t, ah, t. Does that say anything? When you blend and when you go, at, does that say anything? At, for hours and hours and hours until you want to bang your head on the wall and pull out all your hair. So yeah, teaching a child to read showed me I was a very impatient person. Teaching my child how to be potty trained showed me I was a very impatient person. It also showed me that I had some anger issues I needed to address. And anger issues primarily came in with destructiveness. Kids can be very destructive. They break things without meaning it. They trip over something. How many times have you said, this is why we can't have nice things? It happens. So you have to learn as a mom how to put the needs of your kids ahead of you. And that includes not blowing your top anytime something happens, because you might damage them more with your words and your temper tantrum than a broken dish will. A broken dish is a broken dish. I learned a long time ago that things were just things. My kids' emotions and my kids' feelings were a lot more important than a broken dish, because accidents are going to happen. Yes, Esther, she is going to be a great mother. Your sister is also one of the sweetest girls I've ever met. So she is going to be a great mom. I can't wait until she does. That's not very long away. But it showed me that another one of my weaknesses was perfectionism. It showed me, like I said, I was talking about in the thing that I read at the beginning, we were going to have the most perfect kids. They were never going to do this, this, and this. Well, don't ever say never. I learned that's another one of my life mottos now. Never say never, because probably chances are it's going to happen if you say it won't. And it's very humbling when you have children, because children have a way of bringing you down if you're a prideful person, because they will embarrass you. And that's just part of it. Right when you think like, we got this taken care of, the fits, no more. I conquered that. I am the mother. Hear me roar. And then the next time you're at church, right in front of the whole auditorium, your kid will throw a fit. Well, there that went. I can tell you how many times I've been the piano and I hear the rapture vulture, whatever that dinosaur is, scream, and I know it's Hannah. So I know it's Hannah. So I give the look. I'm at the piano. I'm like, good for real. No. So Chloe or Abby will scoop her up and get her out of there. But I hear that rapture scream, or the raptor. I think it's raptor. I hear the raptor scream and I'm like, get her out of here. So it brought my selfishness to the forefront. It showed me that I was a lot more selfish than I thought I was, and you really can't be. You give up your sleep, you give up your time, you give up your sanity sometimes. You give up food, if Hannah or Kelly, man, those two have been eating me out of house and home. My 2 and 4-year-old eat more than my bigger kids sometimes. Hannah, especially with eggs. I make so many eggs. It's a good thing we're getting like 9 eggs a day now, I think, from our 10 hens. We're getting about 9. It's 7 to 9, most days 8 or 9. And some days we'll go through all of those. I have a huge cast iron, and I'll make as many as I can in there. And I'm like, I'll just make extra. So I'll just keep putting the egg on. She'll be like, more, mommy, more. And she wants more egg. She loves eggs. So more eggs, more eggs. And then if it comes down to all the eggs are gone in the pan, mom is the one who gives up her egg. So, you can't, there's no room for selfishness when you have kids. So it showed me how important mindset is when it comes to having kids. And this is something I had to learn as a young mom, because I had a way, motherhood was a lot harder than I thought. And I've been there. I had 3 kids in 3 years. 2002, 2003, 2004, we had a kid. So every year I was having a kid. So I understood, I was just very overwhelmed. I had 3 kids in 3 years, but I had to readjust my mindset. Even as a young mom, I learned this. And, the way that you think is what you do, or how you are, what you feel, that comes out. Okay. Oh, I didn't know you talked to them every day, Esther. I'm so glad. Yes, but the way that you are is how you think, what you're thinking in your mind. The Bible talks about taking our thoughts into captivity, and you have to intentionally do this. You can't think, I can't do this, because you can. With Christ, you can do it. And that needs to be your thought throughout the day. I can do this with Christ. I believe that having kids really has drawn me closer to the Lord, because I'm constantly crying out to him. Lord, I need your help. Lord, I can't get through this without you. Lord, I do not feel this. I am struggling today. I need you to give me grace. I need you to still my tongue. I need you to keep my temper in check. I'm constantly crying out to the Lord. You can't think I am a terrible mother, because you are the mother, and instead think you are the mother that your kids need. God knew that your kids needed you as their mom. Instead of thinking this will never end. This is what I had to get out of my mind. Even after Hannah, even just a couple years ago, when I had her and every day was hours and hours and hours and hours of trying to get her to nurse correctly. I could not think this will never end. I had to take each day as it came, and I had to tell myself, this is a season. This is a season. And now she is over 2. She was 2 in November. So she's almost 2.5. And I feel like that was so long ago. But in that season, every day felt like a year. So I could not think this will never end. This will never end. This will never end. I had to tell myself, this is a season. This is just a short season. Every day that I go and I'm giving her breast milk is going to be good for her. And if I have to, or when I have to switch her to formula, that will be okay too. And I did. I cut it off at 9 months because by then she didn't have much interest in it. She's always been like a fast eater. And that was it. She was eating 5 minutes one side, done. Could not get her to eat the other. So I would have to pump. My milk was dropping. And for my mind and I had to switch her to formula, and that was okay. I didn't care. Because I don't allow even what other people think to control what I do. So that's one thing I learned too, which I'll be going over in a minute. But yes, Julia said, the only way I survived my first was readjusting my mind to accept I'd never sleep again. I took away the energy I wasted on wanting to sleep and just focused on him, and it was easier to calm him. Yes, exactly. Yes, Hannah does love ice cream. Hannah loves any type of food right now. I think she's going through a growth spurt. She's just eating everything in sight. Instead of thinking, I'm going to ruin my kids, think instead, kids are very forgiving as long as they know you love them. And that's the most important thing. They need to know that you love them. And when kids, think about you and your husband's relationship, both of you know each other, love each other. So you're a lot more apt to forgive because he loves me, I love him. So you overlook things, you forgive things. It's the same way with kids. As long as they know that you love them, you show them, you tell them, they're going to be very, very forgiving. So when you take those thoughts, those bad thoughts that are trying to intrude, and you instead flip them and you think the opposite of those thoughts, and you cannot have those thoughts going through your head. And I know for me, most of the time, yes, Julia, love does cover a multitude of sins. Most of the time for me, this is at night, right? You're laying there, maybe you messed up a couple times during the day. Well, then you need to readjust your mindset. And that's where instead of saying, I'm a terrible mother, I'm never going to get this down, I'm never going to have victory over this, think, no, tomorrow, one of my favorite sayings, tomorrow is a brand new day with no mistakes, or tomorrow is fresh with no mistakes. And that's by Anna Green Gables. And it's true. Start over tomorrow. Just wake up in the morning determined I'm going to have a good mindset. Instead of thinking, I'm a terrible mother, I'm going to ruin my kids. No, I'm going to think, I am the mother that my kids need. I am the mother that God gave to my kids. God gave my kids to me because he knew I would be the best one to raise them. He knew I would be the best one to train them. He knew I would be the best ones to love them. And instead have that mindset. Being a mom teaches me things every day. It really does. I'm constantly learning. When I wrote the article that I read at the beginning, that was 3 years ago. So my oldest was 17. Well, 18. He's a lot older now. He's 21. We're in a new phase of life with him, and he'll probably be getting married this year. So now we're going to be entering an even new phase. So I've learned a lot more even since 3 years ago. Every kid is different. And every kid is going to throw different things at you. So you can't while I can offer advice, it's not going to be so cut and dry as to this situation will fit with this kid, because I don't know your kid. You know your kid better than anyone. And there's even been things with my kids, maybe the way we do things or the things that we expect from our kids. Other people might look at it and they might be like, you're going a little too hard, or you're going a little too easy. But the thing is, we know our kids the best. So my husband and I have never checked for anyone's approval when it came to the things we did with our kids. We don't ask around and see what the popular thing is. We parent our kids based off of their personalities, and based off of what we think would be good for them or what would be detrimental to them. That's how we parent our kids. We don't care about the outside influences. We don't go to them. They don't know our kids like we know our kids. And you are going to know your kids more than anyone. So sure, ask for advice when it comes to general things. Maybe you want to know, how do I navigate the dating world? We can tell you how we're doing things. Is it perfect? Probably not, but we're doing things based off of our kids and their personalities. When do I give my kid a phone? Well, every kid's different. It's going to be a different scenario with every kid. How much screen time do I allow my kids to have? Once again, your home, your rules. It's going to be different with each kid with that too. No one knows what parenting is like until they do it. No one knows what parenting a junior higher is like until they do it. No one knows what parenting a high schooler is like until they do it. No one knows what parenting an adult is like until they do it. And you're constantly learning new things, and be open to learning new things. Don't get stuck in the rut of, we have to do it this way because we are robotic and we just follow whatever everyone else around us is doing, because it's not going to work in the world that we live in, especially if you're a Christian family. You have to go against the grain. You have to do things differently because, guys, look at the world. They're not turning out the best product. Look at the public schools. Do you think I want my kids turning out like that? No. So I'm not sending my kids to public school. If you are in the public school, Kaylin, good for you for trying to go against the grain. And I know it's been hard for you, but you are an example of someone that is trying to go against the flow. And you see the problems that exist, out there in the world, and you want something different. And that's good. That's good. Remember that you don't have every answer in the world. You don't. I don't. I get emails all the time, and I can answer them and I can say, this is what I would do in this situation. But it's hard because there's lots of variables. I don't know the backstory. I only am hearing your side of the story. So there could be other things that you're not telling me. There could be other situations regarding it. There could be background I don't know about. So it's really hard when I'm not in the situation or a part of the situation to really say you should do X, Y, and Z. I can give you biblical advice, but that's about it. So, and then that brings me to my next point. It has taught me not to compare to other families. And now I will say this. I have had godly influences in my life that I have looked up to. And I have tried to implement in my home some things that they have done, because I have seen the product that they are producing, and I want that for my kids. And one of them is Pastor Terry Angel. He is one of my favorite preachers in the entire world. And he has all six, I believe he has 6 kids. All 6 of his kids are serving the Lord with their whole hearts. They're all married. They're all having kids. They're all great people. And he is just someone that he's a very humble man, and he's not flashy in any way. And he has just put his nose to the grindstone and stayed at the same church for a long, long time, and raised really good kids. And so there are people like that, and the Bible says to follow me as I follow God. There are men that you can glean wisdom from and instruction from. And I would suggest having someone like that in your life, and maybe ask them. I know my husband has called him on a couple occasions for some advice when it came to different situations, and he has always been very kind and very humble when talking to him. So there has been my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. They raised really good family. So, we've implemented a lot of the same things that my husband grew up under are in our home because of that, because they did a very good job of raising their family. So we will implement different things that we see other people doing, but we don't compare ourselves to them as far as, why aren't you like Susie? They're doing this, or, oh my goodness, this family is doing this, so we better do this. No, different kids, different home, different rules. So not every home is going to look exactly the same. But how I have grown as a person has also changed throughout the years because I had kids. It's made me more confident in my choices with parenting, for sure. And whereas at the beginning, I was like, oh, this in the beginning of our relationship is when we looked to other older families. The Canes were another one. She was kind of what I would consider one of my mentors when I was a young mom. She really took me under her wing. And she gave me a lot of really good advice when I was a really young mom. And all of their kids have grown up, are doing great. And so she was one that I really looked up to as a young wife and a young mom. And but I wasn't as confident when I was first having kids. I hadn't been through it. So why would I be? I second guessed myself a lot. But we knew that we had to keep what we had seen from other families that raised good kids was that number one, they were consistent. They were loyal and they put God first. And we knew that we had to do those things. So one of the things that we were very consistent in was church. And also when my husband started this church, we were at Lighthouse for 10 years, I believe, before he started this one. And he wanted to be there as long as possible until we moved to start. He kind of, I think starting a church was kind of always, well, it wasn't in the back of his mind at first, I guess, but it kind of became more apparent around 9 or 10 years of being at Lighthouse. He decided that was the route we were going to go. And we were sent out from Lighthouse. But he wanted it to be a one and done type thing. He wanted whenever we started the church for it to be the one, because he wanted to raise our kids consistently. He wanted to be established and planted and firm. He didn't want to do this thing where we were moving around all the time. And it's actually very common in a lot of Christian homes. There's a cycle about every 3 years, about every 3 or 4 years, people get very discontent. It's a human nature thing, but it happens everywhere. People get very discontent, and everyone in church knows them. They know all the flaws of the church. They know all the faults of the people, and they want to move on to greener pastures. So there's this revolving door. There's a cycle that happens in churches, and it's really hard as a pastor and his family when you are fully committed and you're there and you're planted and you love these people, and it just rips a piece of your heart every time someone moves on. It's really sad, but for us, we wanted to be consistent. We wanted to be in the same place. We wanted to be firmly planted. So we studied that, and we watched it, and we wanted that for our family. But as I've grown, I've gotten a lot more confident in different things that pop up, different decisions I've made. And I have, one of the other things that it's grown me as is I have so much more love in my life now than when we got married. I mean, yes, I have his family that loves me. I have my family that loves me. But since we've gotten married, I have like an itch in my nose. It keeps itching me. Do you ever get that where you have an itchy nose? I try not to itch it, but then it gets distracting. So, but yeah, I have so much more love in my life now. When my husband and I got married, we had the love of both families. But once you start multiplying yourself 8 times over, you just have all that more love in your home. Melissa said, I've had thoughts of why bother taking my baby to church when he won't remember, but now he's getting older and church is familiar to him. I get it. Yeah. And it's just a routine. I was telling my husband last night, babies are so routine. I have to have routine and somewhat of a schedule or somewhat of an order in my home, because it would not work for me to just have a crazy, out of control, chaotic life every second of the day. I would lose my mind. I would lose my mind. So we go off our routine one time with Hannah and she remembers it. And the next night is torture trying to get her to bed. It's torture and I can't do it. I will lose my mind. So once we have that routine established, we want to keep up with it. And now Kelly is 3 and she knows the church days. She's 4. Is she 4? Yes. So she knows the church days. She knows, okay, this is a church day. This is a church day. And she looks forward to it. And she's super excited about it. My kids love church. I've never had to drag my kids to church. In fact, I've had to tell my kids before when they're puking or they have a fever, you are staying home, and they protest very much. They protest a lot. They love coming to church. It has taught me that my touch quota is filled every single day. I sometimes am all touched out. By the time I go to bed at night, I'm all touched out. I have been touched so much. I have been snuggled so much. I have been kissed so much. I have been hugged so much. Your touch quota definitely gets filled when you have a lot of kids. It's taught me that I can function on very little sleep, which I've always been. Anyone who knows me knows I love my sleep, knows how much I cherish one night of just uninterrupted sleep. Everyone knows me. I'm going to Florida in a couple weeks by myself with a group of friends, a group of lady friends. We're going to be meeting in Florida, and I am actually looking forward to just sleeping through the night without a baby waking me up crying, or I'll hear, because we put toddler proof doorknobs on the outside of our door because Kelly was trying to come in our door trying to come in our room every single night. So I'll hear that it's Callie at like 3 a.m. So that's fun. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward the most to uninterrupted sleep. So, but I can function on very little sleep if I need to. Never thought I'd be able to, but I can. It's grown me in the area of I don't care about others' opinions of my choices. I'm pretty secure in what I've chosen to do with my family. And even when the personal attacks come or the little snide comments, or I don't care. I'm very confident. I get more confident as I raise more of them and I see how they're turning out. I'm getting more confident in my choices. So it doesn't matter to me if someone doesn't like the choices I've made. It's not their kids. And honestly, I feel like when people do that, it's just jealousy. So one way it's grown me is that I can help other moms. You know, if they ask for help, I'm not gonna go on your posts on Facebook and if you're not looking for advice and offer it. But that's why our group exists, the Gently Led Sisters group. We ask parenting questions. We kind of bounce things off of each other, even when it comes to product reviews, different things like that. We have over 400 women in there, and it's a great group because the spirit is wonderful. There's no drama. There's no gossip. I don't allow husband bashing. I don't allow preacher bashing. I don't allow any of that in there. And it's a really good, lighthearted group that a lot of women offer very helpful advice. And I like it because even a mom that's younger than me can offer advice that I never thought of, or can give a tip that I never thought of. I've gotten so many tips from Julia, who's way younger than me, but she loves researching and she loves figuring things out, and she'll send me little tips, and I enjoy that. I love that. So you do, Joyce, you do take Teresa's good sleep for granted. You know what's funny though? I don't know what happened, but like, okay, so Abby was a terrible sleeper. So Tommy and Jason, by the time they were 6 weeks old, and I know this is bad with nursing, whatever, but I was a young mom and whatever. By the time they were 6 weeks old, they were sleeping through the night. So, and then Abigail, she was a horrible sleeper. She cried all day long and she cried all night long. It was terrible. But then Chloe was a great sleeper. Allie was a great sleeper. Lana was a great sleeper. And then I had Hannah and Kelly, literally the worst sleepers out of all of them. So I don't know if I'm just getting older, or I don't know. I don't know what it is, or I did things differently. I don't know. Because I never really did the crying out thing. They just slept really well. So I don't know what happened. I think every kid's just different. It just comes down to every kid being different again. It has grown me as far as giving me more wisdom when it comes to choices, when it comes to helping people make good choices in their life, when it comes to just having life lessons, when it comes to having different experiences with different kids, you know, it just gives you more wisdom. It gives you more patience. You have to learn to be patient when you've got lots and lots of little people pulling at you, lots of different people needing needs. You know, you have the full spectrum. You've got the toddlers, and then you've got the middle schoolers, and then you've got the junior hires, you have the high schoolers, you have the young adults, and then you have the ones in college that are calling you at 11:30 at night. So you have all these things just, you know, stretching you, which leads me to the other point. It teaches you how to multitask. You get a lot of things done. Thank goodness for earbuds and different hands-free technology that you can actually be helping one child. Maybe that's away from home or in college or at a job situation or something. You can be helping them in your earbuds as you're helping this one with school, as you're helping this one diffuse a problem. I mean, you know, as a mom, you multitask. But it's also taught me how to streamline my life. I feel like I get 100 times more done in a day now than I ever did when I was a young mom. I don't know why. And now I have older kids. That helps. But you kind of get to where you're kind of in a routine, you know what to expect when it comes to how long it takes me to get here, how long it takes me to get from point A to point B, how long it takes me to get from up on Sunday morning to church. what I need to do to make that be accomplished, whether that's laying out clothes the night before, making a breakfast the night before you can pop in the oven that you can grab on the way out, getting their diaper bag ready. It teaches you to streamline your life when you start adding on more and more and more kids. And then it also taught me what priorities I want for my kids. Okay. Do I want the next Einstein? Do I want the next scientist? Do I want the next person that's going to walk on the moon? Do I want a doctor in the family? Do I want my kids to be smart, or do I want them to be kind? I mean, you can be both, but a lot of times we focus a lot of priority in this area, but we neglect this area. So it taught me what the priorities were that I wanted for my kids. And that was obviously to raise kids who wanted to follow in our footsteps and love the Lord and serve him in their local church, raise their family for the Lord. That's what I wanted. And that's my main priority. So I'm going to do things to make that priority happen, which would be, I'm going to be very involved in church. I'm going to get them very involved in soul winning. I'm going to focus on more on the things of the Lord. School, yes, we will do school every day, and that will be important, but that's not going to be my main focus. So I'm not going to put them in a private charter school. I'm not going to put them in a private school. ACE curriculum is good enough for that. It has taught them how to be strong readers. And the math is okay. That's my goal, is to raise kids first and foremost that love the Lord with all their heart, soul, and mind, that want to follow in their parents' footsteps and stay in church and not become bitter or antagonistic towards the things of the Lord. That's what the product is that I want to be for my kids. So I have to focus on the priorities to make that happen. But let's face it, having kids is the hardest thing I have ever done. It's the hardest thing you have ever done. It's the hardest thing anyone will probably ever do. But it is also the most rewarding and the most fulfilling thing I have ever done. Having kids has changed me. It has grown me. It has shaped me. But it is something I would do again and again and again. And it has been something that I have done again and again and again, 8 times over. The best 8 moments of my life were the moments when they placed that new baby on my chest and I got to peer into the eyes of the little human being that had been cooking in my belly for the last 9 months. Nothing even compares. The day we got married doesn't compare. Maybe the only thing that would compare is the day that I became a new babe in Christ, when I accepted the Lord as my Savior. Obviously, that paved the way for the rest of my life to be good. From that moment on, that paved the way, was accepting the Lord as my Savior. When I believed on him and I believed the work that he had done on the cross, and I put all my faith and trust in him. That was the day that started the journey into all of this. But after that, the best 8 moments of my life, those were it. Nothing compares. All the hard work, all the sickness, all the toil, all the pain of the last 9 months are completely erased. The moment that baby enters the world, takes its first breath, and they lay that baby on me, and I get to hold them and see them and just love on them. Oh, best 8 moments of my life. And that's why I keep doing it again and again. And that's why you keep doing it again and again and again. Nothing compares to that. And I just love it because it shows me as a mere human being, the love that God has for me. Because oftentimes he compares a lot of things to moms and mothers and loving our children. And he had a son, that he gave up on the cross to pay for the sins of all mankind. And if you will believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and you will accept him, and you will put all of your faith and work in his work on the cross, then you too will go to heaven, and nothing will ever take that away. You are never good enough to earn salvation, but you are never bad enough to lose it once you accept the free gift of salvation. So I want all of my listeners to make sure that they are saved. And so if you have not, go over and watch the Bible Way to Heaven. I have it on my channel. Just search Bible Way to Heaven, Cassandra McMurtry, and please get that settled. If you have any doubts at all, please just get it settled. Salvation is so easy. Christ did all the hard work for us. And he wants everyone to accept that free gift of salvation. It's not by works of righteousness, which ye have done. It's not anything that we can do. The Bible says, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. Eternal means forever. So if you accept that free gift of salvation, nothing can ever take it away. It's forever. God doesn't lie. So once you accept it, it's forever. And I love how, seeing the love that I have for my children, knowing that God has infinity more than that for us, and just basking in the realization that I am his child and I am safe in the palm of his hand, and nothing on my worst day, he's never going to forsake me, and he's never going to take away that free gift of salvation. So definitely get that nailed down if you haven't already. That's my biggest desire, is that women that watch this will also know for sure they're going to heaven when they die. So, but I hope that was a help to you. If you have any ways or things that having kids has shaped you or changed you or grown you, leave them down below in the comments. I want to see. I love reading your comments. Also, when you comment, when you like, when you share, it drives up the algorithm and YouTube pushes it out more. I haven't fully discovered the algorithm, hence why I'm kind of stuck in this position right now. I'm like 20 away from 3,000 subscribers. So share it. I would love to hit 3,000 subscribers this week just to be at that 3K mark. I've kind of been stuck here for a while, so definitely share it. But oh, that's nice, Kaylin. Kaylin said, God bless you and your beautiful family. Thank you for this channel. I appreciate it in your husband's live streams because I can't go yet. You guys have definitely been a help, and I haven't even seen you guys in person. We cannot wait to meet you in person someday. I know she lives in Illinois, but it's a few hours away. Illinois is a very long state. So even though we're kind of like, here's Chicago, like right here, we're kind of up here. And then I think Kaylin's like way down here. And also like Northern Illinois is a lot different from Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois is very Southern. It's almost more like Kentucky or Missouri-ish. It's just more laid back. The people have accents. So sometimes when you drive, and it's a good 3-4 hour drive all the way to the bottom. Sometimes when you drive a good distance, you feel like you're in a different state, even though you're still in Illinois, which is crazy. So very big gap of demographics here in Illinois. Most of Illinois, unbeknownst to most people, this is a sidetrack, but Kaylin got me thinking about it. Most of Illinois is red. And guess where our one blue part is? Chicago. So if we basically walled off Chicago over here, then all of this would be red. And we would not have the horrendous governor, probably the worst in almost all of 50 states. We would not have the horrendous governor that we have, Pritzker. He would be gone. And interestingly enough, the guy that ran against him, Darren Bailey, he's from Southern Illinois, and he has all the traditional values and all that too. But Pritzker still won because of Chicago right here. So if we could wall that off, Chicago or Illinois would be a lot better of a place, but unfortunately we can't. So yeah, someday, Kaylin, we would love to see you. We'll try to make that happen for sure. So I would love to meet all of you in person someday. I don't know if that'll be possible this side of heaven, but that would be really cool. But anyways, we will see you ladies next week. I'm hoping to have Catherine on. Let's hope that everyone gets well and stays well. So, and she's very pregnant. So having the stomach flu this far into your pregnancy is not fun. So I'll definitely be praying for her. I'll be praying for anyone that has the flu. It's not fun. So we'll see you guys next week.